Thank you. Good evening and a very warm welcome to Education USA India's Prepathon webinar series. This is a series for students who have received admission offers to universities in the United States and will be joining colleges in fall semester of 2022. Firstly, a very big congratulations to all of you who've made it to the different universities and colleges in the US. Undoubtedly, it is going to be a life-changing experience for all of you. Today's topic for today's webinar session is Academic Life, a Class Perspective, American Classrooms, Engagement with Professors, Assistantships, Scholarships, Internships, Research, and more. To begin with, we'll give you a short introduction to Education USA, followed by introducing our speakers for the day, and then we'll dive right into our presentation for today's session. Please do use headphones for enhanced audio quality. Please kindly mute your audio and video for a good webinar experience. Also to ensure that others are not disturbed in this webinar. For all of you who have joined us in the Zoom room, please type in your questions in the chat box and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. And both Dhruv and Camon will be with us to answer those questions. For those of you who are joining us live from our Education USA India YouTube channel, you may also type in your questions in the comments box and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. My colleagues will be posting some links and resources in the chat box to help you with finding websites that are of use for you in getting more information on higher education in the US. I am Aparna Chandrasekharan. I'm an Education USA advisor with the Chennai Center of US India Educational Foundation. Like I said earlier, big congratulations to all of you. I would also at the beginning like to thank my colleagues Shanti Mohan from the Education USA Center in Chennai, Vaishali Sharma from the Education USA Center in Ahmedabad, Aliza and Ahmedabad from the Education USA Centers in New Delhi, who are also supporting me in the background in helping us make this webinar a great experience for all of you. I'm sure all of you are excited and looking forward to joining your respective universities in fall 2022. And this webinar is perhaps going to talk about some very important insights that you will need to learn before you start your classes in the US. This entire webinar series is going to be, the first webinar was completed on June 9th. Today's is the second webinar, and we will be doing multiple sessions on different topics till July 28th. All of them will be from the 6 p.m. to about 7:30 p.m. IST. The various topics that we will be covering include, academic life, ethics and code of conduct, beyond the classroom, looking at social and cultural life, making the best of on-campus resources that you may need once you arrive on campus, also gearing up for active life in the university, and of course, learning about a parent's perspective of how their children transitioned to a US campus, and of course, successful strategies for when you return to India for pursuing your career over here. So do make sure that you register for all of these webinars and attend them between now and 28th of July. For those of you who are not familiar with Education USA, we are a US Department of State supported network. Our mandate is to provide accurate, comprehensive, and current information on US higher education. We are a global network with 430 plus advising centers in over 170 countries. And in India, we have Education USA centers hosted by 4 host institutions in the cities of Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, and New Delhi. We advise our students, of course, most of you who are already admitted, who've received admission offers to universities are currently in step 4, and we'll be looking forward to going to step 5. Hopefully all of you have got your I-20s from the university and are scheduling your visa appointments. And of course, step 5 is participating in the pre-departure orientation program, of which today's is the second session. There are multiple ways in which you can connect with the Education USA centers around India. You can, of course, join us for multiple sessions. We have alumni fairs, panel discussions, our Prepathon series that we are part of today. If some of you would like to be featured on the Education USA social media pages, you can send us a photograph and a little description of the university and the program that you are going to join. And we'd be happy to sort of share that on the Education USA India social media pages. We'll share our email ID at the end of this presentation. And if you would like to be featured on our social media under the hashtag MyEduSA story, you could send us your details. Once you arrive in the US and are studying on campus, maybe after a semester or two, you could also write to an article, a 500-word article for Education USA about your US study experience. You can also be a part of the Instagram takeover that we host with students, current students on campus. So if you'd like to participate in any of these ways, do reach out to any Education USA center in India and we'd be happy to host you. If you have any questions about this stage of your application process, where you are in the process of getting your I-20s, booking your visa appointments, and of course, preparing for your departure, if you have any questions, you can reach out to all of our Education USA centers at these various addresses that are these contact information, which is provided on your screen. You can take a screenshot. And of course, you can even go to the educationusa.state.gov website. And you can use this link, find an Education USA center, and it'll connect you, provide you with information and address for that particular Education USA center. So let's move to our session for today, which is Academic Life, a Class Perspective. We'll talk about American classrooms. We'll talk about engagement with professors, assistantships and scholarships, research, internships, and much more. We have two very distinguished speakers today joining us as panelists for this session. Our first speaker is Camon Hester, who has over 10 years of experience in graduate school and undergraduate admissions at North Carolina State University. She is a North Carolina native and holds a Master's of Education in College Counseling. She has enjoyed studying and teaching in Japan and recruiting in Spain and India. Our second speaker of the day is Dhruv Gurg. He is a first-year Master's of Computer Science student at Georgia Institute of Technology. He developed a keen interest in computer science research during his undergraduate education in India. This interest enabled him to gain deeper knowledge and to contribute to technological advances in computer science. He was also a recipient of the Chancellor's Gold Medal from his undergraduate university in India and has worked at research labs in industry and academia in India and the US. Currently, he's doing his summer internship at Cisco Research, following which he will resume his work as a research assistant at Georgia Tech University. We're also very proud to have Dhruv here today because Dhruv was one of our student members at the US-India Educational Foundation. And it was really wonderful to see the commitment and dedication with which he pursued his application process. So Dhruv, you are one of our success stories, and I'm really thrilled and delighted to have you today as a speaker for our session. So welcome, Camon and Dhruv, and really delighted to have you both. Over to you, Camon, for your presentation.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here and be a part of this Prepathon. Also, I just want to say congratulations to all of the students. I know how brave and hard you work to get this far. So we'll just go over some of the topic. It's related to all of the universities in United States and not just North Carolina State University. So there may be some slight differences, but for the most part, this will be general information. So for class registration, I know that there's a lot of questions that come up around this time about how to register for classes. Some of you may have already registered for classes and spoken to an advisor, while some universities may not have reached out yet. There is a summer lull at this time, and not as many faculty or staff will be on campus, but don't worry. If you haven't been in contact yet, you soon will. Usually for each university, class registration is held online. So you would register through your student portal to sign up for classes. Whenever you are in your student portal, you may see a hold on your account. Do not panic, that's okay. That usually means that you cannot register on your own, but your advisor would like to contact you so they can go over some classes with you, maybe discuss your previous coursework, so that you can register for the best classes that align with graduating on time. In the student portal, you may also see the name of your advisor, because a lot of students wonder, well, how can I contact my advisor and who is my advisor? So in your student portal, we call it the enrollment wizard, but it could be called a different name. You may see the name of your advisor, which is a staff or faculty member, and you can do a search on the website, on the university website, to get their email or number to contact them if you wish. Or if there is not a student, your advisor's name is not listed there, you can reach out to the department directly to inquire if they haven't told you yet when they would be reaching out to you. For example, I think here at NC State, they are contacting everyone by the end of June to help them with class registration. You can also go on the website of the department major that you were admitted into to see what the curriculum is for the semester coming up. They usually have a semester by semester course curriculum for you to go by as a guide, so that you can have an understanding of what classes you should register for. And I also want to let you know that the tuition bill is usually due after registration. You don't have to pay first and then register for classes. And especially for international students, they understand that you have a lot to sort out when you come to the United States. So they're not going to bill you right away. They will bill the domestic students first, and usually the international students bill for their course registration will not come out until a week or so later. But they will communicate with you what that due date is, so don't worry. About the tuition bill, there are several different ways to pay for that. A lot of universities have payments in increments where you can maybe pay twice during the semester, and you'll be paying for one semester, but you can break that up into 2 or 3 payments usually. And the method is usually by a wire transfer. For example, we have FlyWire at North Carolina State University. And whenever you register for classes, usually full-time enrollment is 12 hours for undergraduate students and 9 credit hours for graduate students. And this is important because this is tied to the F1 regulations. So for F1 visa holders, you always, or J1 visa holders, you have to maintain full-time status. So however that is defined at the university you are at, but usually that's 12 hours for undergraduates and 9 hours for graduates. Next slide, please. So this slide, the next slide is the classroom syllabus slide. And so the classroom syllabus, this is a tool that your professor will use to set expectations for your learning. It's like a contract. It is paper, and they probably will also send a digital version of it to you, but you will get this classroom syllabus usually on the very first day of class. And the first couple of days of class are used to go over the classroom syllabus, because it is usually multiple pages in length, as it has a comprehensive variety of information on it. So I'll go over just a few items here, just so you'll know what to expect. But of course, it'll have the course name and the professor's name and how to get in touch with that professor. They'll list their contact hours, their office hours. If they wish to get in touch via phone, then they'll have their phone number listed. Definitely they'll have their email listed. They may also have their teaching assistant hours and contact listed there. So the teaching assistant is a student that works with the professor to help them maintain and manage the class, either by grading some of the work or by having hours just to meet with students to help them with the course. The course syllabus also helps you budget time. It shows you all of the projects, tests, and work that you will be responsible for. so that you can, throughout the course of the semester, know when something is due and how much time you have to prepare for that due date. And it also has the rubrics. So it will show you how grades are determined. So each of the projects, tests, or other work that are graded will be on the Classroom Syllabus, and it will show you what percentage amounts towards the total grade for the end of the course. It also helps you to collect resources ahead of class. So that's so that you can know also prerequisite information. Maybe if you're not quite up on what they're going over in the class, there's some information on what to learn outside of class so that you can be on par with the class. And also the other resources that are listed would be for helping you complete the projects that are listed on the syllabus. And finally, it does help you understand the learning objectives, that what you should get out of this class by the end of the semester. So this is a document that you would refer to throughout the semester several times. And this is something that you should always keep, maybe even take a picture of it so that you don't lose it. You can always get another one from your professor, but it's a very important tool that's used. A lot of universities also have a university honors program. And what this is it's a program to enrich your academic and your social life. So the university honors program does usually have eligibility requirements with a GPA requirement. So for North Carolina State University last semester, our GPA requirement was a 3.25 overall. And then you have to maintain that through your coursework at the university. It is usually competitive to get into, and usually those programs are offered during the application process, and you would know if you have admission to that program after you've been admitted or once you've been admitted into the university. But I encourage you to check, because a lot of honors programs do have admission later in the semester as well, and they will tell you what that criteria is to get into the university honors program. So they offer experiential learning opportunities and cultural and outdoor explorations. For example, there are innovative honors seminars, or there are addresses by public figures that people in this program would get first tickets to. For example, at North Carolina State University, we had the First Lady come, and Obama come to our campus and spoke at our Coliseum, but only the university honors program got the first dibs for the tickets, and then everyone else had to fight kind of for the tickets. You know, they were just highly sought after and they were sold out. But this is just one example of some of the different events that you would be invited to if you were in a part of this university honors program. Next slide, please. Oh, and another point about the university honors programs, as it's tied to scholarship and assistantship opportunities, is that they usually also have seminars on how to obtain scholarships. They have special classes with professors where professors will speak. So it gives you an opportunity to engage with professors that maybe other students will not have. So it just gives you an opportunity to talk with them about your own projects that you've worked on and your own interests, so they get to know you. So aside from the university honors programs, there are other ways to reach out to professors to learn about scholarships and assistantship opportunities. The main way is through your classes. So what a lot of professors have said is that it's not only the, the smart students that they want to work with, but the ones that are keen to work with them, the ones that show interest and curiosity in their classroom. So what I would say is to be an active participant in your classroom, ask questions after class, one-on-one to your professor so that they can get to know you, and also share with them the projects or papers, research that you have done on your own. So when they see that you have that initiative, then they'll be more inclined to think about you, to want you to work with them on research or to offer any scholarships. Also, once you're in your university, there are usually databases. For example, we have a scholarship database at North Carolina State University called PAC Assist. And through this database, you would enter your details and it would line up your details with criteria of certain scholarships that you would be eligible for, and it would notify you so that you could apply for those scholarships. For classroom culture, I briefly wanted to go over just some differences that you may see. You may see that it's very non-hierarchical in the US classroom. Professors may be wanting to be called by their first names. They'll let you know how they want to be called in the first couple days of class. So there are open discussions in the classroom. Don't be afraid to speak out. A lot of times in the classroom here, students don't raise their hand. It's just kind of conversation style. So just be sure, don't, set your apprehensions aside and speak out, let them get to know you. That's how people get to know you, by speaking in class. Also, classes are smaller in size once you get out of the regular like chemistry 101 or so. In those classrooms, you may engage in an icebreaker, which is an activity the entire class participates in to get to know each other. If they don't do an icebreaker, then there will be introductions where you just talk about, say, your name and where you're from or something interesting about you. So go ahead and have that ready. Also, one thing I wanted to let you know about is that be careful about shared project work. Usually that's only allowed if the professor specifically says that you can do that, because there have been some academic integrity issues sometimes with international students, just not understanding sometimes that whenever you have an assignment that it should be completed on your own, and only work with other people whenever it says that is allowable. Just ask if you have questions. If you want to do that, just ask ahead of time. And also time management. You'll have to balance your life and school together because it's tough and you'll have a lot of assignments to do, but there's a lot of social activities going on that you should engage in as well. So one thing that I've seen students have is they actually have like a paper scheduler, and you'll see them writing in that because that is a great tool to help them with time management. Some other things to know that I don't think international students always know about is, well, for example, at North Carolina State University, we have a thing called reduced course load in your first semester. And that is if you are not doing well in your first semester. It's your first semester only opportunity. And it's for if like you can say that the teaching style is very different from what you're used to, or maybe the English style was different from what the English was that you learned. And if you happen to start to not do so well in the class, you may be able to drop that class and go below full-time enrollment. Even though that is tied to your F1 visa compliance, there is a one-time thing that you can do, probably at several universities. It's called a reduced course load in your first semester. So take advantage of that so it doesn't affect your GPA. Before you arrive, you may also wish to look up some massive online open courses. And I saw that Coursera and LinkedIn Learning have some good ones. If a lot of universities have an account with LinkedIn Learning, and this is a free account for students to use to have several courses delivered via online platform. Some of the courses have been called quantitative research writing, writing clearly for a business audience, composing a thesis, etc. So I do encourage you to look into those before leaving so that you have some tools. Finally, just an example, this is a North Carolina State University library interior on this slide. I just want to let you know that libraries offer so many free resources to students. So you can have on loan laptops, cameras, tablets for free for a week at a time. Libraries usually also have maker spaces and gaming labs for computer scientists. And we also have music and recording studios in our library. Librarians can help you choose a researchable topic, find articles, help you cite your sources, help you with all of the writing for your courses. And there's also spaces in libraries that you can access 24 hours a day. Well, at North Carolina State University, we have our libraries open for 24 hours a day, most days of the week. And they're a great place to study and meet with your classmates. There's also private rooms for you to study on your own. But I will say, don't expect it to be quiet like you see in movies. There is a quiet area in the library, but now they have become collaborative spaces. So they can actually be quite loud in some areas. Next slide, please. Oh, finally, there's also tutoring centers in every university. They offer a comprehensive variety of free programs and resources to promote your academic skills. For example, you would have access to academic peer mentors, some writing consultants. You could go to weekly tutoring groups, just drop in for tutoring if the office hours of your professor or TA is not convenient for you, for example. And wellness coaching and career counseling are also offered at our Academic Success Center. With that, I will conclude my presentation and pass it on to Dhruv.
Hi, hello everyone. It's great to be here, and as Aparna ma'am mentioned, I was admitted to the Masters in Computer Science program in fall 21. So I've spent around 2 semesters here, and I'm currently doing my internship. So in my presentation, I'll be focusing mainly on the academic aspects of graduate studies, but there is definitely going to be a lot of overlap with the previous presentation by Camon. So basically, I would be covering aspects of academics, assistantships, and there will be time for questions also at the end. Next slide, please. There's one slide before this. Yeah. So basically, when you have to think about registering for courses, you first need to plan out your how you're going to take the courses, because it's a relatively shorter duration. Like for graduate students, we tentatively cover all of our course requirements, all the credits in 3 to 4 semesters. So the absolute ground truth or the most reliable information for your courses would be your course curriculum. So you can either find it from the college website or your program website. You'll generally have a PDF and detailed course requirements. And if you have any issues or doubts, you can also reach out to your academic advisor. So they can help you with basically telling you how many credits can you take from a certain set of courses and how many of them will count towards your graduation, etc. So they are very helpful in terms of the logistics and what courses you can take, what you can't take, right? So do make sure to reach out to them in any case that you have doubts. In at Georgia Tech, like we have two academic advisors for our masters in computer science program. So usually they are very prompt in responding to us, and yeah, so you don't want to pester them with too many questions, but yeah, just be patient and they would be happy to help you out. So one other thing that Camon also touched upon is uh, you have these courses and the availability and the faculty that keeps varying over various semesters. So at most universities, you would have a tentative or a layout of sorts for a 5 year time period or at least a 3 year time period, so that you can see which courses will be offered at what frequency. Some of them might be just fall courses, so they will not be offered in spring, and there are some courses which are spring only as well. So basically what I'm trying to say is that since you will be a graduate student, you will have tentatively around 3 to 4 semesters. You want to plan out your things a bit so that you are able to take all the courses that you want and complete your degree requirements within the stipulated time. So please do make sure that you do some planning to make the most of your learning experience. With graduate studies, like you tentatively have a specialization area or a sub area of your larger program that you will be specializing in, and it does in some colleges it does come on your degree as well. So since you're starting now in fall, you might be unsure, and it's totally normal to be unsure because you don't exactly know which area you want to specialize in. So my recommendation would be that you should pick some courses that allow you to explore and keep your options open for other specializations also, but do focus on your interest, like what you find interesting right now and you wish to pursue. Please do pursue that, but also keep your options open. So the TLDR would be that you go through the curriculum and you also engage with seniors. Your TAs are usually listed on the course web pages, and also the faculty who would be taking some courses in this fall. So please do that. Yeah. Next slide. So for class registration, like some of the colleges will have their course registration like much in advance, like around July or sorts, that you might have to register from India itself. While for me, like we had it in the third week of August, and I came here and then registered for fall 21. So uh, you can basically check your course curriculum and your registration process at your university, so that you know what the registration process is like and where you will be doing your registration from. So yeah, you can select whichever courses you find interesting, and some colleges will have tools to ensure that the courses you have picked are not clashing and you can register. But some of them you might have to manually check whether you are able to register for them or not. And yeah, and do keep your specializations open, options open, because you're not fully sure about what you'll be pursuing over the span of 2 years. So take the foundation courses first, and then you can continue to focus on your specialization area. Also, like if you're unsure about exactly which courses to take and what course load will be there, you can take you can register for multiple courses, and you will have an add and drop period during the first week of fall semester. And then you can basically attend multiple classes. You can, in the first week, tentatively, the faculty will be giving you a broad overview of the curriculum and the basically the entire rubric of the project and the assignments and the exams, what percentage of uh, which course component will count to your grade. So you can evaluate all of that. You can talk to some seniors or the TAs, and then you can finalize during your add and drop period. So yeah, so basically attend all of those courses that you find interesting and then make an informed decision before the last day of your registration, right? And just a side note is that the tuition fee payment deadline is usually after you complete the registration. It's not before you even register for classes. So on the last day of your registration, whichever is the date for fall 22, that would be that would probably be the payment deadline for your tuition fees. Yeah. As an international student, you also have to maintain your uh, active F1 status and your full-time status. So it depends from university to university how many minimum number of credits you need, and you can based on the number of credits you can find how many courses you need to take. So as Kemon had mentioned, at NCSU there are, for grad students, you need to do 9 credits worth to maintain your F1 status. At Georgia Tech it is 12 credits, and each course is 3 credits. So we usually have to take 4 courses minimum to maintain our active F1 status. Also, one thing that you might want to look out for is that the courses have different modes of delivery. So some of them are in-person only courses, some of them are hybrid, and some of them might also be only online courses. So sometimes if the institute mandates, you may not register for too many online only courses because they might not help enable you to maintain your active F1 status. But do make sure to reach out to your academic advisors with any queries regarding the same. Yeah, and at certain crunch times, there are too many emails that the academic advisors are getting. So there would be delays in the response. They usually also have this automatic response with a lot of FAQs. So you might find your answer in that. But in case there is a delay and you want to find out some information, uh, do explore other avenues like talking to seniors or directly to the course faculty or the teaching assistants. So one key distinction between the undergraduate and the graduate is graduate curriculum is probably the graduate courses allow you a wider set of options. Like basically, you can do MS by coursework where you're completing all your stipulated credits through courses, and most of them will be like the advanced courses, and some of them are also research focused. So you can technically finish all your required credits for your degree through the coursework option only, but there is also a huge benefit in taking the MS with project or MS with thesis option. So it is helpful in the sense that you get to work closely with PhD students at a particular lab of interest. So you can pursue some interesting project that you find really worth pursuing, and you can do that as a semester or a 2 semester or a 3 semester project thesis option. So you will have to also check if your MS curriculum allows you to do a project or a thesis, and what are the credit requirements for them, and how are you going to like space out all those credits across your multiple semesters that you're enrolled in for your master's program. So in case you're unsure about this again, like whether I want to do it by coursework or by project or by thesis, the program is usually flexible enough to allow you to switch between different course types. So you might be able to switch and still complete your degree requirements, but you need to ensure that you don't have to redo some credits or courses to complete the requirements. Yeah, so about the research opportunities, like in the MS by project or thesis option. So your question would be, why should I even do this? Like, if I can just do courses and complete my degree, why should I try this research track? So one thing I would say from my personal experience is that it is a very different kind of learning experience where you are at the cutting edge of the field that you're in, and you can pursue some new idea and your new interest. And after that, after like 2 or 3 semesters of work that you've done, you would be able to have a publication or have some presentations at different avenues, and you can technically make an impact on your area of interest. So if you do decide to pursue this option, you would want to know, how should I get involved in this? So the first step for that is that you want to identify some course or a faculty or a lab of your interest, and they would usually have like a lab page or a faculty page where he or she would describe what they work on and where they have recently their ongoing projects and where they've recently published. So you can go through those and see whether you would want to be associated with some project of that kind, or you can actually have your own project as well. So the way to go about it is, once you have identified this course or lab or faculty, you can write directly to the faculty with uh, two things. First is your background. What courses have you done previously? What projects have you done? If you're coming from the industry or have done some good projects in your undergraduate studies, you can write to them with a summary of sorts of your background. And then after having seen their lab page or the faculty page, you can also write your interests and ideas about what you would like to pursue. So a really impactful thing and something that the faculty would appreciate is if you go through their work a bit more in detail, if you read through some papers or their projects, or you interact with lab students. So you can actually go through this in the background and before reaching out to them, and then tell them why you are a good fit, which would make it very easy for them to basically just get you in their lab. They would know that they would perceive your drive and your interest, and they would be able to offer you a project in their lab. And when would you want to do this? You can do this anytime before the semester. Like, it's mid-June now, and usually the semester would start in August or September. So you can start the process, like start looking at the different pages and faculty members now, and you can contact them anytime between now and like the first week of the semester. So yeah, that's how you would go about it. Another dimension is the assistantships. So for graduate students, and it's applicable for undergraduates too, but I would speak from a graduate perspective. So there is graduate assistants, teaching assistants, and research assistants. And since I've not met or I've not interacted with any graduate assistant, I won't be able to give a lot of information on it. But what I gather is that you can basically have some role, a small role, as working as like on an hourly basis in any task that your university requires you to help out with. Teaching assistants, I was a teaching assistant in the fall semester, and we basically assisted uh, our professor of the course with um, like project, like we basically designed the entire project. We also helped out with the evaluation of assignments and exams, and we also conducted office hours on a weekly scheduled basis, where students would come and they would ask doubts about anything related to the projects or exams or just regular coursework. So you can apply for these positions. First, you would have to identify which course you want to TA for. So you can go through the course pages and see which courses or the curriculum actually aligns with your background, because you would need to showcase to the professor that you have sufficient uh, knowledge in this course and you would be a good TA for the course. And some departments also float TA forms. This is usually done like 2 or 3 months before the semester start date. So since you may not be in the mailing list as of now, you have not probably not got your email IDs for the university, but you can also contact faculty through email. So that would probably be a faster way to explore that option. And research assistants, as I mentioned, like uh, in the previous slide, how would you apply to them? So usually the faculty are a bit hesitant in giving you RA-ship right from the first semester, because they don't know you, and it is a significant amount of work that you're entrusted to do with research assistant. So you can try to apply, and if you are offered an opportunity at a lab, that would be great. But if not, you can always apply for RA positions in the spring semester. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So how do you apply and when do you apply? So for any of these, like it's a good time to start now, and you want to explore the options that the university has for GA, TA, or RA. And usually the students will start working in their designated capacity from the first week of the semester. So by August, whenever your college starts, you would be assigned, or you would at least begin to the onboarding process and get in line with what you're supposed to do, all the paperwork and everything. So you would be starting your duties in the first week. And how do you apply? So for graduate assistants, you usually have an online application form on different department websites, and you can see when is the deadline and how does the process go. And for TA and RA, you can directly reach out to the faculty with your previous work, and you can talk to them about your interests, and then they would follow up with you with if they have an opportunity. Yeah, so uh, any other information that I would like to convey to students who are joining now? So first is that there are many options or many degree paths that you can take for graduate or undergraduate. So you want to spend some time in understanding the entire curriculum and how the registration process works at your university. How can you pursue or switch between uh, your MS tracks, or sometimes I've seen even undergraduates like they complete certain coursework in the first 3 years, and then they would move on to your MS program, which they can basically finish earlier. So those are all the options that you can take, provided you have sufficient knowledge or information about how the curriculum is. And different courses will have different deliverables, like uh, it depends on the course itself and also on the faculty about how they are going about it. So sometimes you would have regular quizzes and exams. In some other courses it might be project heavy, where the project itself could be like 60% of your grade. And in other cases you might have a lot of homework in your course, which would be evenly spaced out across the semester, but you can technically expect like homeworks in the frequency of every 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So it all depends on the course, and you would be able to see the exact course requirements and deliverables from the course webpage, and that is usually updated very frequently. So even if you go back and look at the previous semester's uh, course curriculum, it would more or less be the same. But if you have any queries, you can reach out to the TAs or the faculty. And one key thing to maintain your work-life balance is that you would want to kind of balance your course load so that you don't end up taking too many heavy courses or uh, too many light courses, so that your entire semester is kind of balanced, and you want to have this balance like within a semester and also across your degree. So you should not have a semester which is too light and you have a lot of free time, and in the next semester you have to take all the heavy courses and you don't have any free time. So you can just basically balance it out with having one heavy course and two medium courses and one easy course, or whatever works for you. And at your university, you can basically see how you want to do that. And compared to my undergrad experience in India and what I've experienced in US, some of the courses have very frequent deliverables where you have many homeworks or many regular quizzes. Like you would technically also have like one small quiz or one small homework every week or every 2 weeks. So that is also possible. And in some courses, you have uh, slightly more spaced out deliverables where you have, say, a midterm review of your project and then a final presentation. So it all depends on the course. You would want to thoroughly see the course requirements and then decide which courses you want to take. And as Camon had mentioned, like the campus itself has many resources. You have uh, you have the library where even we have like a quiet study area where I spent a lot of my time in the fall semester. Uh, you would have monitors or desktops, and other graduate students would also be there. So in the quiet study area, it is good if you are actually preparing for some exam, or you just are able to focus better in a quiet environment. But if you want to do some project work, there are also collaborative learning spaces in the library where you can freely talk and get work done. Apart from the library, there are also many clubs and organizations. So we have a India Club at Georgia Tech, which I was associated with. We have other clubs like trekking, and you have cycling club, and you have music clubs. All of that is there, so you can basically explore uh, your interests, and you can join whichever clubs you want, which you are able to commit time to. And some of them would be really great. Yeah. So yeah, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gamon and Dhruv, for those excellent insights that you've provided students who are preparing to join universities this fall semester. We do have loads of questions that have come in. I'll sort of read them out and call out to you so that you could each answer a couple of questions. Our first question is from Rishi, who would like to understand what actually defines a credit hour. Do they correspond to actual hours in the classroom? Camon, I'd ask you to answer that.
Sure. So no, a credit hour does not always actually correspond to the actual hours of the classroom, but it's important to know how many credits a course is, because at the end of your degree program, there should be a total number of courses that are required to earn that degree. So that is why those credit hours are listed there, so you understand that they should be added up to get the total number for the program that you're majoring in. Okay. Also, if you're doing a minor, that is kind of like a mini major that you would supplement to your major, where you concentrate in a certain area. that will have a certain number of credit hours that you should be aware of, and make sure that the numbers add up to that total. And all of this is listed on the website of your university, where the curriculum has each of the courses for each semester sequentially laid out for you guys.
Thank you. Dhruv, the next question I'm going to address to you. What is the typical monthly expense for an international student? Perhaps you can use your own example and share some insight on this.
Yeah, so for like if you're going to cook on your own, it would be around say around $30 to $40 per week. But if you're going to eat outside, at least in Atlanta, I'm talking about Atlanta. So if you're going to eat outside, a regular meal would be around $10 to $15. So that is like the food would be the major component of your monthly expense. Apart from that, you would also have your house rent and the utilities, which would be the internet or the net or your electricity, etc., and water. So for me, like in Atlanta, I'm spending around 900 for the house rent and around $50 or $60 for electricity and water and your electricity, water, and cable. And apart from that, around $300 per month for the food. Yeah.
So that's somewhere between $1,200 to $1,200 a month is your living expenses, additional to
Yes.
your tuition and other fees and things like that.
Right.
Okay, great. Okay, so our next question is for you, Camon. Are honors programs only for undergraduate courses, or can master's students also participate in honors programs?
Well, at North Carolina State University, the honors program that we have, that is specifically for undergraduate students. I'm not sure what other universities might have, maybe at Georgia Tech, if they have a program like that for their master's or PhD students. Usually those students are so heavily involved in their studies and research that I would say they probably have a little less social or extracurricular activities than the undergraduates have, but I'll let Dhruv comment on that.
All right. Dhruv, are you familiar if there are any honors programs for master's students?
No, I have not actually come across honors program for masters. Yeah.
They're usually for undergraduate students in most universities. Camon, a supplement to that earlier question to you is another one. Would the honors program students have the same number of credits as a regular bachelor's degree student, or would they have to take extra credits to get to complete their degree, bachelor's degree?
Well, at North Carolina State University, they don't have to take extra credits to complete the bachelor's degree, but they will have extra credits. It's not required to complete the bachelor's degree, but for the honors program, they will have extra credits at the end. Some of the classes aren't credit bearing, they're seminar type, so you don't actually earn credits from them, but just more, experiential experience from those types of classes.
Okay. Our next question is it possible to take advanced level courses in lieu of core courses? We have a student who's giving an example saying, I have a master's in economics already, and the basics of economics in the first semester in the master's in public policy program would be a repetition. So would the academic advisors be open to discussing this and allowing me to take advanced courses in lieu of the core course? Camon, how would that work?
Yes, I would say to work with your advisor, share the transcript that you have from your master's program. If you have kept the syllabus from those courses, that may be something the advisor would like to look at, and they can work with the registration office to possibly award you credits from previous coursework so that you do not have to take those classes again.
Dhruv, the next question is to you. Is it recommended to reach out to professors outside the classes? that is before registration or even before reaching the university, to request an opportunity to work with them, what would be the best way to go about it? Should they write to the professor as soon as they have accepted the admission offer, or should they wait to get to the university campus and then get in touch with them?
Yeah, so I would suggest that you can reach out to the professor well in advance, because by the time you reach the university, you would be just 1 or 2 weeks away from starting your semester. So that might be late to actually start any research assistantship or teaching assistantship. So you want to contact them well in advance, because it's not that you send a mail and they would be replying very quickly. They might take 1 or 2 weeks to even get back to you. So you would need to contact them in advance. And if they do not reply, then maybe 1 or 2 weeks you can wait and then send a polite reminder. But yeah, don't pester them beyond that.
All right. Cameron, the next question is for you. How many hours can an international student work on campus as part of student employment in the university?
You can work for a total of 20 hours on campus as an F1 student. Always work with your Office of International Services when you plan to engage in any kind of work, so that they can make sure that it is allowable. Sometimes the campus is intermingled with industry. Probably Georgia Tech is that way too, like North Carolina State University, where it may not be clear. You feel like you might be working on an on-campus job, but it could be for an industry that just physically is on campus, but not really part of the university. So yes, 20 hours per week, but always check with your Office of International Services.
Right. Dhruv, the next question is to you. Could you please provide us with your experience on how you prepared for any prerequisites, if required, for any particular course that you had to take? Did you have to do any prep like that?
So there were 2 courses that I took in the fall semester, which I was kind of doubtful whether I have all the prerequisites. So I wrote to the professor and I told them that these are the related courses I've done in my undergrad. And then they were able to help me out, saying that maybe you can go through this resource, or they would say that no, you have all the prerequisites and you don't need to do anything extra. Yeah, but you can just go through the course syllabus and the prereq that they specify there, or you can reach out to the professor.
Cameron, a student would like to know, what are some of the best ways in learning science terminologies?
I would say that if you're in a class, a science class, and you might not be familiar with the science terminologies that they're using, to talk to the professor and ask what they recommend. Sometimes the syllabus will also, as I mentioned, have some prerequisite resource available to students that they can review outside of class that will help them while they're in the class that they are taking at the time.
Okay. Dhruv, let me come to you now. If there's a requirement for some of the core courses to be from the applied specialization, how do we go about exploring other specialization courses?
At Georgia Tech, we have some core courses that are required for the specialization. So it could be anywhere from 1 to 3 courses that you have to do in that specialization. Apart from that, there is also sometimes an overlap between those same courses can be found in different specializations. So you might be thinking that I'm doing it for this specialization, but it could also be applicable to another specialization. And similarly, so you have core courses and you also have elective courses. So it is possible that when you have taken some elective course, it could be applied to another specialization area as well. So you can just balance those out and keep your options open that way.
Right. Coming to you, Cameron, would there be ever a situation where 2 different professors offering the same coursework could be offering it in the same semester? Does that ever happen?
Sometimes there are the same course with different sections. So if it's a very popular course that a lot of students need to take, there will be different instructors offering the exact same course. That does happen often.
Dhruv, this one to you. Does the term bill or the semester bill include housing and dining payments as well as health insurance? Or is all of these completely separate from the tuition bill?
So when you got your I-20, that had listed your tuition and your living expenses, your housing, etc. But when you get it from the university, it would just be your tuition and health insurance and any other mandatory fees that you're required to pay. So to answer your question, it would be separate.
Cameron, the next one's for you. Can a student apply for the honors program once the semester begins, or do we apply for it from the second year of the undergraduate program?
I would say to check with your university's honors program because it does differ. For North Carolina State University, I know that most of the program participants are selected at the time of the application, but that does not mean that they don't accept outside of that time period. So yes, check with your university honors program to see how to join at a later date if not already admitted.
We have a question from another student. Dhruv, I'll come to you for this. Can all living expenses be managed with on-campus work opportunities? And adding to this is another question. Can a student cover summer break costs by working on campus, or do they need additional help from family?
So if it depends on the role that you've been assigned. If you're doing campus work, I'm assuming that you would be a graduate assistant. And in that case, you're usually paid by the hour. And as Kemon had mentioned, you can, during the semester, you cannot work more than 20 hours. So it puts an upper bound on how much you can actually earn through on-campus jobs. So with that, you may not be able to fully pay for your living expenses. But if you have, say, a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship, that might pay a bit more, and you might be able to cover. Like for me, when I was a TA, I was getting exactly the amount as my house rent. But when I became an RA, I'm getting more, so I'm able to cover my full living expenses with that. So it depends on the role and the pay for that role. Yeah.
So Dhruv, do you get a tuition waiver plus you are getting a stipend? Is that correct?
Yes. So the tuition waiver percentage varies from university to university. At Georgia Tech, we get 100% tuition waiver, and we get a monthly stipend in the range of $1,000 to $1,500. So that is able to cover for the living expenses. I also know some friends at different universities who get an out-of-state tuition waiver, but they still have to pay for the in-state tuition. So that's around 50%, say, tuition waiver. Yeah.
Right. So this is very subjective to universities, obviously, and students would need
Yes.
to check with their respective universities. Okay.
Right.
Cameron, I'll come to you now. How can students find internship opportunities in universities once they join the university? How can they explore internship opportunities related to their field of study?
Mm-hmm. So many universities like North Carolina State University has a career development center. So the Career Development Center houses counselors that will work with each student, and they are also a liaison to businesses in the area. So they can join up students with businesses that have internship opportunities. Also, as I mentioned, what we call the MyPack, what we call the Pack Assist could be a database or something else in another university where the student has a portal to not only access scholarships, but may also search for internships that kind of pairs them with their major and things like that, so they can get a matching internship. in the same area.
Okay. All right. Dhruv, there's a question on, if I'm into a master's in computer science, do I need to pick the specialization like data science, machine learning, or artificial intelligence soon after my classes start?
For us, we had to give a tentative specialization area every time we register for a new semester. So basically, what that does is it gives you a certain preference in registering for some courses. Like if it's your specialization area and you need to complete it for getting your degree, the system would prioritize you over another student from a different specialization area taking your course. So in that sense, you might have to repeatedly declare your specialization area semester wise, but you can always change it. So you can declare the specialization, that area that you're most inclined to right now, and you can update it as you move along.
Cameron, the next question is for you. How does your university weigh AP credits, the advanced placement credits? Is it true that more number of AP credits can reduce a student's time at the campus for getting a bachelor's degree?
Yes, we do offer credit opportunities for students that have scored a certain score on their AP tests in certain subjects. It varies from school to school, but we have a website. It's credit opportunities for international students or for any students. And you can check that website. I can place the link if you're interested in the chat box, but yes, the score does give credit for certain classes, and the website does tell you which classes you can earn credits for.
Okay. Dhruv, the next question is to you. If I have been assigned an advisor and I have written to her, but the advisor hasn't got back to me despite writing to her, and I'm unclear without her support how to decide on my courses, how long should I wait before I ping them again?
So I would say that you should wait for 10 days to about 2 weeks before you reach out to them. But if they are not responding over email, you might try to reach out to another advisor, or they also have some web pages where you can raise a ticket. So there are different ways of going about the same thing, but yeah, like if you want to reach out over email, then maybe 2 weeks would be sufficient.
All right. So are internship opportunities like the curricular practical training included in all courses? Do all courses have CPT, or is it very specific or subjective to courses, Cameron?
That does vary. So it is for certain courses. I would check with your Office of International Services, the one that kind of manages and maintains that you're in the visa status, to see which CPT opportunities are available for you.
Right. Okay, Dhruv, I'll come to you on this. Can working multiple campus jobs provide me with enough money to pay for my tuition fee?
I don't think that you would be allowed to work on multiple campus jobs at one point. So it's going to be either one of the three options. And again, it depends on how much the hourly wage is, but you should not assume that it would be able to cover the entire expense, because the expense per your living expense itself would vary from city to city. So what is sufficient at Atlanta may not be sufficient in the Bay Area. So yeah, like I cannot make any broad statement on that.
Okay, I'll continue with you, Dhruv. Can international students start an internship right in the first semester, or do they need to complete a year before they can start an internship?
You cannot start it immediately after reaching the US. It's a US CIS requirement that you have to complete 2 semesters of academic study before you can do a CPT internship. So if you start in the fall, you cannot intern before the summer of the next year, or if you start in spring, you cannot intern before you complete the spring and the fall semester. But again, December internships might be slightly lower in number, so maybe you'll have to wait for the summer of the next year.
Cameron, I'll come to you now. A student would like to understand the general education courses that undergraduate students have to do in the first 2 years. Does this vary between universities or the program that you've joined for?
Yes, it does vary between universities and the program that you've joined for, but usually what is in common is that there is usually a university course that all students take that kind of is an introduction to the university that kind of goes over safety and, alcohol and drug prevention, things like that. Just as learning to become an adult. I will say that for students that are in STEM type fields, usually they have to do the basic, have completed the calculus 1 to chemistry, physics. That will probably be something that all of the students take in all of the universities for the engineering type of major. Usually English composition 1 and 2 are also required in, I believe, all of the universities, as that does teach you how to write your college papers.
Right. Staying with you, Cameron, we have a couple of more questions from undergraduate students. Can international students apply for additional scholarships after they have joined the university, or is this something that universities give out when they admit students and send them the I-20? After that, is there any opportunity for international students to secure scholarships once they're on campus?
Yes, I would say that there's even more opportunity once they're on campus, just because there they are getting to know professors and network, and also they can use the university GPA, whereas some universities are not able to use some GPA from the high school or your secondary school when you first apply. Your university GPA can also be used to secure additional scholarships once you're there.
Okay, that's great to know that. Now, a lot of the times a student, when they join an undergraduate program, they have in mind that I'm going to be pursuing X major or Y major. But once they arrive on campus and they've explored a few courses, they might have a change of heart. So is it easy for them to switch majors? And by when, how much time do they have before they let the advisor know that they're going to be switching from, let's say, computer science to psychology, or, from music to some other major, for example?
Yes, I would say it's very common for students to switch majors during their career at the university, what is harder is probably switching from something like music or psychology to computer science or an engineering field, as opposed to switching from an engineering field to, a less
humanities or a social science.
Yeah. So I would say just work with your advisor, because there is some coordination that you need to do. Definitely by your junior year, before your junior year, you'd want to do that. You have to work with your current advisor and then the advisor of the department that you would like to switch to. So that's, the earlier the better is probably the rule with that.
Right. But do they do have time till the end of the second year to declare their major? Am I correct in understanding that?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Okay. Right. There's one more question for you here, Kamon, is sometimes a student joins a particular university and realizes that maybe that university is not the right fit, and they realize that only after they've completed one semester. Is there a possibility for the student to switch between universities in the US after they've joined a university, to transfer to another university?
Yes, they can work with the Office of International Services, the one that holds their SEVIS record. They will facilitate the transfer. However, you have to get admitted. That's if you get admitted into the other university. So yes, that is possible if you find that you're not at a good fitting university for you. Just be aware of the university that you want to change to see what their requirements are, because when you switch, you'll be applying as a transfer applicant, and some universities have different requirements compared to when you applied as a first-year student. So they may have some transfer application requirements. So just note that whenever you're looking into another university and doing the application process.
Great. A student would like, Dhruv, I'm coming to you now. A student would like to know your own personal experience of studying at Georgia Tech. What's this 1 year been like since last fall?
Yeah, so like the 2 semesters, fall 21 and spring 22 itself were very different for me. So when we first arrived, like it took about 2, 3 weeks to settle down. So if it is possible for you, it would be good like if you move into your destination city at least 2 weeks prior to your course start date, and basically get around the area. Uh, get into the habit of cooking, etc. Because once the courses start, it is slightly more challenging, and you don't want to compromise on your health while pursuing your academics. So in the fall semester, we were basically managing the coursework, and we also had to apply for internships because tentatively your internship applications start around August, and some of them even start earlier. So, since there is no such placement cell of sorts at every university, you have to go to the different company websites or the startup websites and apply there. And once they shortlist you, then you have to give interviews. So, you have to manage all of that besides your coursework. And then in the spring semester, I was basically a research assistant. And there I was spending a lot more time. Since I had secured my internship in December last year, I spent all the remaining time for my research work. And besides coursework, I was managing with research. And yeah, we were able to submit a paper. So yeah, it has been hectic, but it's been really nice.
Great. Cameron, I'll come to you now. Now, a student says his exams are getting delayed and his graduation would he would graduate only around August of this year. So is it mandatory to have my degree certificate from the bachelor's degree program before I register for classes at the university in the US that I've been admitted to? Would he need all his final mark sheets with him before he can register for the classes, or can he register for the classes in advance, join the university, and then submit his degree certificate and his bachelor's degree mark sheet?
For his secondary school study?
No, the student is doing his bachelor's degree in India and is going to be joining a university for his master's program.
Okay. Well, at North Carolina State University, we don't require that. The bachelor's degree coursework is important to understand so that you're taking the right master's program courses. We allow students to bring their final transcript with them, or I know that it does take time for them to arrive afterwards, and we have accepted them beyond the first day of class. That is a little bit different from our first year undergraduate students, where we must have confirmation that they have completed secondary school. So we do require final transcripts for secondary school before they begin their undergraduate degree program. But we don't have that requirement for starting graduate studies. Okay. So you can bring that later at North Carolina State.
Right. Cameron, I'll continue with you. Would the methodology of teaching at the undergraduate level be vastly different from how they teach at the graduate level?
I would say you're given a lot more responsibility at the graduate level to maintain your time. At the undergraduate level, you you're given reminders. I think that you're given more opportunities to make mistakes and things like that. So I would say it's probably similar, but with a lot more ownership of your work at the graduate level and just taking responsibility for having things done. And I would say it's probably not as forgiving. So I don't know, Dhruv, what your experience, I don't know if you went to undergraduate studies in the United States, or I think you mentioned that you were in India, but that's what I would say from my experience.
Dhruv, I'll come to you now. Did you have to take any placement exams or tests that was administered by your computer science department before starting grad school? Or is that a common practice, or was that required for you in your CS course?
No, I didn't have to do any such placement test. I'm not sure what it means, but if it's about internships, then no.
Cameron, do you at NCSU have any placements tests which are taken by which a student has to sit for at his department level before they are assigned to graduate courses? Is there anything like that at your university?
Oh, no.
Okay.
We don't have placement for graduates.
All right. All right. I'll continue with you, Cameron. Student says, I was told that most of the undergraduate classes are taught by teaching assistants in large public universities. How true is that? No.
No, that might be true for 1 or 2 classes. Maybe the only one that I can think of would be like Chemistry 101, where a whole lot of students have to take that course. But they aren't taught by teaching assistants. They are taught by professors. But that is one kind of auditorium style classroom that North Carolina State University has. Other than that, the other classes are small and they are taught by professors.
Okay. Continuing with you, Cameron, what does this international student need to be aware of to maintain his or her F1 visa status while studying in the US?
There's several, and you will have an orientation put on by your International Services Office, but of course the maintaining the minimum credit hours per semester that the university, your particular university may have. Like with Dhruv, it was 12 hours for graduate students. You have to, not work over the 20 hours per week during the semester. And you cannot work off campus somewhere without telling anyone. You have to always, let the International Services Office know where your physical address is, because that's something that we have to maintain in the SEVIS database. You have to have student health insurance. So there's a number of things that the orientation will cover when you arrive to the United States. And you also get a link that you can always refer to as well.
Another question is, how and when can I drop classes so that it doesn't appear on my transcript as fail? Dhruv, I'll come to you for that.
Yeah, so if you're talking about the first week of registration, it will not appear on your transcript. There is also an option to withdraw a course around midway in the semester, where you are able to basically withdraw from the course and it will still not appear on your transcript. But if you withdraw after that, then it will appear on your transcript. So if you do it during the ad drop period, it will not show up. If you do it by the course withdrawal deadline, it will not show up. If you do it anytime post that, it will probably come up on your transcript.
Great. We're almost at the end of the time for our session, but before we end for the day, any quick thoughts from both of you on any advice that you'd like to share with students to make sure that they are academically successful at the universities that they're joining this fall? Cameron, you first.
I would just say that make sure you go out and interact with other people, not just from your country. We do see internationals do that, but please go out and meet other people, get involved in some of the organizations and clubs like Dhruv mentioned. Take full opportunity of all the resources that are offered to you at your university, because that, I think, it has a big part in how successful you will be. And all the things that you can get out of your university experience.
True.
Yeah, I would like to say that besides your coursework, do maintain a good, healthy work-life balance where you're spending time with your friends, you're going, like you have some kind of a exercise routine, or you're going to different places and just spending time on weekends. So it might feel that, oh, I have so much work to do. How do I take out time for this? But in the long run, like it is helping you in your productivity, and you won't be too tired, because the semester is kind of relentless, and you have to take some breaks in between so that you are charged up for all your work.
Yes, and some of these activities could also give you the opportunity to make lifelong friends, so
Yes.
yes, exactly. So definitely make the most of all that the campus life has to offer in the US. Thank you so much, Dhruv and Camon, not just for your wonderful presentation, but for patiently answering so many questions that our students have had. I'm sure your presentations today have given them some insights on what to expect when they arrive on campus, what they need to do even before they arrive on campus, and how to prepare for being a successful student from an academic perspective. Thank you so much to both of you for your presentations today and for joining us. I'd also like to thank my colleagues Shanti, Vaishali, Aliza, and Amita for helping us with curating questions, the live streaming and recording, etc. Thank you, ladies, for all your help in the background. Students, thank you all for joining us for this session. I'm sure this was useful for you. Don't forget, we have other sessions coming up that will be equally useful and will provide more insights on how you can succeed socially, culturally, and academically on a US university campus. So please do register. If you haven't done so already, please do register for our remaining Prepathon sessions, and we look forward to seeing you for those sessions in the future, near future. So as we come to a close of this presentation, I would like to wish all of you the very best of luck. And I hope you have a wonderful educational and experience in the United States at whichever university that you are intending to join. Thank you all once again. See you, and bye-bye. Thank you so much, Dhruv and Camon. Bye.
Thank you.